Hey everyone, this is Greg Miller from Spinoff Investing Simplified. I'm your host here at Spinoff Investing Simplified's YouTube channel. And I appreciate you stopping by and taking a look around. If you appreciate this video or any of the others, please subscribe to our channel. We would love to have you along. We also appreciate your comments, and smashing that like button helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. We sure appreciate your time with us and hope you enjoy this video. Thanks a bunch. Hey guys, welcome back to Spinoff Investing Simplified's YouTube channel, and today I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about emotion management. This is partially due to Warren Buffett having his annual meeting since the last time it recorded, and in 2020 the annual meeting was a little bit different because he spent his time in a room with a couple other people, and it was an empty venue. Normally, this is kind of the mecca for value investors. And this year, because of the coronavirus, he was alone and basically just answered questions for several hours and did a really interesting vignette on the history of the United States economy and how you should not spend your time betting against that economy. But we're going to talk a little bit about emotion management because I think it's relevant to the current situation with the coronavirus, and I'm sure that it'll be relevant in the future for the next issues that come along. I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about some respected investors and their perspectives on investing. First, we'll start with Ben Graham on the right here. Ben Graham, he says, the true investor will do better if he forgets about the stock market and pays attention to his dividend returns and to the operation results of his companies. And then he also states that the market is a pendulum that forever swings between unsustainable optimism, which makes stocks too expensive, and unjustified pessimism, which makes them too cheap. The intelligent investor is a realist who sells to the optimists and buys from the pessimists. A couple other respected investors, when I think about emotion management, you have Warren Buffett. He sits in cash when the market is not letting him purchase attractive deals. He doesn't talk specifically about this, but part of the reason why he sits in cash, and he reiterated this over his last weekend when he talked about Berkshire Hathaway's cash, is he said, we want to maintain strength and we do not want to have to borrow even from our friends. That's something that is kind of unique when it comes to a lot of leaders in business. They're more than willing to borrow from their friends or even their enemies. But when people are doing personal finances, we try not to borrow from our friends. We, most of the time, or at least in my opinion, I don't. We find that is actually a good way to maintain stability. And it's interesting that a business leader for one of the largest capitalized companies in the world says we try not to. We try to sit in cash so that we're ready for those rainy days. Christian Reither of Kareem Capital also talks a little bit about how he likes to conduct a pre-mortem where he brainstorms everything that could go wrong before he buys a stock, and some interesting ideas that might go along with that. And this brings me to how someone might handle their own emotions. I think the number one way to do this is to journal your activities, and this comes from Christian Reither as well. He conducts his pre-mortem, but he also journals the things that he would do, and maintaining a significant cash position for obvious market buying opportunities, following Warren Buffett's lead, I think is another way to do that. And then you can handle your investing emotions really well if you focus on a company's operating results. I've had my own experiences where a company that I thought would be a great business to buy, and then I bought it, and then later on the price kind of bottomed out and fell out from underneath me. But if you focus on the company's operating results, over time that will come back to help you. And if your operating results, if you do that, conduct that good research, as Joel Greenblatt says, eventually the market's going to agree with you. And so focusing on the company's operating results allows you to do that and gives you time to do that. The third one, if you only use money that can be lost, more comes from my perspective on Dave Ramsey. He talks about, you always want to have plenty of money on hand and get rid of your debt. If you don't have a lot of debt or have no debt, it's a lot easier to throw a little bit of money towards a spin-off and have it lose 90% of its value. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm going to be just fine. And that's one thing to pay attention to when you're investing in any company, not just spin-offs, but make sure that you always use money that you cannot or that you can afford to lose. My own personal experience tells me that I should never buy the day that I find an idea. I like to be very quick, and sometimes in the past I've made decisions a little bit too quick and a little rash. And when I buy on the idea day, that's usually the mistakes that I make. If I wait a day, if I wait a week, sometimes I make better decisions. Most of the time I make better decisions. And then finally, I like to make comparisons prior to the purchase. That comes back from a bunch of different investors. Ben Graham talked about how you want to compare to the risk-free rate. Christian Reither talks about how you should compare to whether sitting in cash or going in and comparing to another potential investment prior to your purchase. Is a good exercise to make sure that you are going in the right direction. And when we handle our investing emotions, typically that is what makes us better investors. Good luck with your own investing, everyone, and we'll see you next time. As we finish up, we have one final note for you. This video was made for educational purposes only. Any companies mentioned in this presentation were discussed for educational purposes only. Discussing such companies and the specifics about them is for illustrative purposes only and not a solicitation to purchase them. We recommend that you conduct your own research and identify why you might want to own the company yourself before you commit any funds. We also recommend that you seek the services of a financial advisor that has considered your situation as your fiduciary. May your education here grow your knowledge, improve your personal investing performance, and give you the confidence to take control of your future. Thanks.